Hello, how are you guys? I'm Cornesha. I'm your purpose and personal development coach, and I'm back to you guys with another video. If you are new to my channel, welcome. Here we talk about healing, wholeness, personal development, and entrepreneurship. However, from experience, I know that you'd have a much greater setup for success if you actually honor healing and personal development. You clean up your internal while you make room for your external and what you want in life in the future. So in that, I want to give you guys tools, resources, and just have an open dialogue about certain things that are typically brushed under the rug while sharing the abundance of business knowledge that I already have. So with that, if you're not new to this channel, welcome back. I thank you so much for tuning in either way. And we're going to get right into tonight's topic. Tonight, we're talking about intentionality. Intentionality is pretty much the process of aiming or planning to do something that's not impulsive. In fact, it's fully considered, it's done consciously, it's done carefully. It's pretty much the fact of being deliberate and meaningful in your actions and preparations for what we want out of life. So, in that, as your virtual support system, I have to be honest with you guys and be transparent about how we can dishonor intentionality while giving insight to how we can show up when we dishonor intentionality, while giving you the tools, resources, and level of understanding needed to transition our mindset. So, with that being said, intentionality primarily is the process, again, for making room for what you want. So, I have a couple examples for you guys. Some of these examples are personal. Some I've done research on. A lot of them are common topics that in coaching sessions I've heard people say, you know what, I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that. And in their wants, in their desires, they're not fully aware of the insight that they've overlooked preparing for, the insight that they've overlooked actually being intentional about. So, the first example, if you want or desire to start a family, I hear so many people say, I want a family, I want a relationship, I want this, I want that. Are you strong enough to sacrifice your mental health for your family, for your lineage? Are you financially ready to make room for another responsibility financially? And a huge one at that. Like they say, having a child in a year, you primarily spend between $10,000 and $15,000 per child in that year. Is that something you're ready for? Excuse me. Is that something you're ready for? Are you mentally, physically, financially ready to have another person's mental health to be responsible for, especially considering the times we're in nowadays? Mental health has been something that I can't speak for everybody, but for me personally, it's been something that's just recently become understood. It's recently become acceptable. So in that, are you really ready to dig deep and make sure you're giving yourself and everybody around you a setup for success when it comes to a positive and productive mental health? Also, when it comes to having a family, are you patient enough to study each individual child on individual basis so that you can personalize your parenting per child? Is that something you're willing and ready to do at this moment? Or is that something you need real life preparation for? Do you need a year or two to get yourself ready for doing that alone? Are you patient enough to do that? Are you disciplined enough to do that? Are you selfless enough to do that? Speaking of which, literally, it says, are you patient enough to study your children on an individual basis so that you could personalize your parenting per child while being disciplined enough to do everything required to properly parent that child without disregarding parenting responsibilities? That's a thing. That's real life a thing. And intentionality is actually having the awareness, having the mindset to say, you know what, I want to think about this thing in depth. I want to be conscious about it. I want to have a thorough mindset and a thorough decision making when it comes to this thing. Is this something that is not impulsive? Is this something that's fully considered on as many aspects as you can? And nobody's perfect. I understand that. Nobody's perfect. However, in honoring that we're not perfect while we still strive for excellence, are you giving yourself a proper, productive, and are you giving yourself a good setup? Are you giving yourself a strong foundation for starting your family by making sure you have answers for all of these pillars of having a family? Also, do you have the will? This is another good one. Do you have the will to be interdependent in your parenting choices with your spouse? Meaning, do you have the will to say, you know what, this isn't just my child, this is our child, and I feel like this could be an issue. So because of that, let me talk this over with my spouse, or let me talk this over with my partner, or let me talk this over with the other co-parent. That's what intentionality looks like. That's an example of intentionality. Another example, that's an example of the questions you ask when you're wanting to be intentional about what it is that you want in life. Next example, if you want to, or if you desire to start a business, for all of my entrepreneurs on this channel, I'm going to call you what you are. If you're seeking entrepreneurship, you have the mindset, and that alone is an accomplishment. So I'm going to honor you and call you an entrepreneur, because in the event that you start, it's manifestation. I'm wishing this on us if that's what we want, okay? So for our entrepreneurs out there, if you start or desire to start a business, what does your discipline look like? Let's talk about it. What does your discipline look like? Can you stick to a schedule? Can you wake up on time? I stepped on my own toes with the wake up on time. So please know, if I step on your toes, I'm sorry, but I'm doing it intentionally. I'm stepping on my own in the process, so it's all right. Are you strong enough mentally to say no to impulsive distractions if starting a business is what you want? Because it takes discipline, it takes consistency, and it takes time away from all those things that distract us on a day-to-day basis. How's your leadership skills? Do you have any leadership skills? Another one, if you're wanting to start a business that consists of you having a team, how's your mouth? Do you watch your mouth? Are you really condescending? Are you do you talk too much? I'm just saying, those are things that are required. Do you double talk, back talk, cross talk, whatever they call it, backbite? Is that something that's just in your character, that if the two people aren't ever together, they won't know, but we know that that's in your character? Is that a thing for you? Because in business, in leadership, that's unacceptable. So what does that look like for you? If you have any areas of opportunity in the pillars that I just listed when it comes to business, are you at least willing to self-reflect and become more intentional about becoming the person required for the journey you're considering to begin? Whether that's in business, whether that's in starting a family, whatever that looks like for you. In the event that something I said stepped on your toes, that's fine. That's minimal compared to the real brass tacks of this thing. Regardless of what stepped on your toes, are you willing to actually do the work to self-reflect and be more intentional about becoming the person required to walk this journey that you're considering? That's intentionality. Excuse this fly, please. Excuse this fly. That's intentionality. Just saying. Just like I'm going to be real intentional about killing this fly as soon as this video is over. Just saying. Another example of intentionality. Whoo, this is a good one. This is a good one. If you want a certain influence or image, whether it's publicly, professionally, or just with your family and friends, you have to be intentional about how you represent yourself. In life, we have influence over one another, whether we want to or not, whether we're intentional about the influence or not. The influence is going to happen. On top of it happening, it's going to be either positive or negative, and there's no avoiding that. There's no way to cover it up. There's none of that. So in that, you cannot expect a positive influence, a positive image, if you operate from a place of entitlement, from a place of condemnation, ego, arrogance. How can you expect certain influences and certain long-term influence, long-term images, if this is how you really are as a person, if this is how you really act? And again, if this steps on your toes, that's minimal. What are you gonna do about it? That's the real point. Let's be intentional. This is what intentionality looks like. And once we are aware that intentionality hasn't really been a part of our world, taking that next step to become more intentional about who we are, what we want, how we show up, and how we make room for the things we want, that's what molds us into who we're supposed to be for the journeys we're supposed to walk. What's for us is going to be for us regardless. However, what's for you can shift in the event that the wrong version of you is showing up to walk that journey. Yeah. I'll say that again. What's for you is for you, regardless. However, in whatever that's for you, if the wrong version of you show up to walk that journey, it may not work. It may not work. So because of that, you can't expect a positive image or influence if you operate from places that don't reflect a positive influence. Do the research. That's what intentionality consists of. Doing the research and educating ourselves on who we should be. If you want to be a millionaire, research millionaires. If you want to be a business owner, research business owners. See what their postures are. See what their character's like. See what changes they had to make in their process to become successful and apply those changes to our lives. That's intentionality. You can't expect a leadership influence if you represent yourself as a victim and not a survivor. Leaders are survivors of their past, not victims. This influence thing will require self-reflecting every single day, and sometimes more often than that. Are you ready to be intentional about your influence? If that's what you're looking for. Clients have, this is always one. If you want a relationship or you want to make changes in your relationship, what are you doing to make room for it? Do you actually make room for it? Are you understanding enough for the type of partner you want? Is your poise and grace properly aligned for the type of partner you desire? If you want a partner that's not really in the street life, but you're a woman that dropped the N-word every so often, they're going to look at you like you're masculine. They are. So in that, are you properly aligned? Is your poise aligned? Is your peace aligned? Is your grace aligned? Is your character aligned for the man that you want? For the woman that you want as a man? If you want a certain woman that's in her bag, if you want a certain woman that's about her business, if you want a certain woman that's not really running the streets, or if you want a woman that is running the streets, what are you doing about it? What are you doing about it? Are you going around disrupting the lives of the women who are in their business simply because that strokes your ego when you know for sure you want somebody that's running the streets that you could go clubbing with? Let's be real with it. Let's be real about it. Come on now. Like, this is what intentionality is. Considering what we want and making room for it. On purpose. On purpose. Okay? So, what about your communication in relationships? Your communication for the partner you desire. Can you communicate effectively when you're upset? Can you communicate effectively when you're emotional, when you're sad, when you're disappointed? For the partner you desire, is that a thing for you? If it's not a thing for you, fine. Are you willing to compromise you and actually make room for that when you know that this is the type of partner you desire? When you know you're gonna want somebody who's gonna have to do those things for you, can you do those for them? Also, confidence. Is your confidence high enough to keep the partner you desire once you actually get him or her? We know how it is. Once you meet somebody and that spark, that infatuation is popping, once you meet them and it's like, you know what, I'm liking them, whatever, he's liking you, you're liking him, months pass, and we realize, oh, we all still got options. Are you confident enough to trust your partner? Are you confident enough to trust that your partner chose you and that's okay? Are you confident enough? That's a thing. And when I say, I stepped on my own toes when I said this. I did, because there were times where I was in relationships, I was in friendships even, and I'm side-eyeing who I'm with because I don't trust them, and it's because I wasn't confident. It wasn't about the real lack of trust. It was about, am I confident enough to know that I deserve this quality of a friend? Am I confident enough to know that I deserve this quality of a man? And if I'm not confident enough, what am I going to do intentionally to make sure I fix that? That's intentionality. That's intentionality. And it's not easy. I didn't say it's easy. I don't want to mislead you. It's not. It's a daily journey, daily battle. And if you have issues with anxiety or depression, I'm telling you now, it's even more of a battle. It's even more of a battle. You got to fight. It's a war. Okay? It's a war. But it's worth it. You're worth it. Your wants in life are worth it. So come on now, like, be intentional. What do you want? Also, is your aura, is your demeanor compatible enough with the style of partner you want? Again, if you want a partner that you can travel with and explore different cultures, a partner that you're confident with walking into any room with, if that's what you want, are you that in yourself? Are you intentionally making changes in your life to make sure that that's how you show up, so that when the time comes where your partner has to self-reflect, you can lead by example? That's intentionality. That's a thing. And sometimes those are the things that are brushed under the rug. Those are the things that aren't talked about. Oh, well, no, this just me. No, it's not. Don't nobody have to deal with that. They don't. Literally, they don't. And nobody really wants to deal with anything they don't have to. You have to think about it. Relationships, whether it's friendships, intimate relationships, business relationships, all of those are primarily based on one thing, and that's satisfaction. So in the event that you're not willing to compromise to make sure the other half is satisfied, in the event that you're selfish in the situation and you feel like, oh, well, my car is broke down, so they gonna have to understand that you gotta pick me up and drop me off at work every day if you my partner. Come on now. Like, is that are we not gonna compromise? What if that's a deal breaker for them? What if they feel like that's too much of a responsibility, I don't want to do that? Then what? They're not satisfied. What are you going to do about it? That's what it's about. It's about being intentional. It's about making sure that regardless, we're willing to compromise and we're willing to be durable and flexible. Okay, you need this, I got you. I need this, you got me. But it's about being intentional. It's about compromising, self-reflecting, and making room for things that we want on purpose. Next example. If you want a promotion or a leadership position versus an operational employee position at work. Like I say, all of my content isn't focused towards the entrepreneurs. So if you're at work and you want certain things from work, make room for it. When making room for it, ask similar questions to the ones correlated to relationships. Does your class, your posture, your assertion align with the style of a leader? What I mean when I say class, do you run your mouth? If you have a problem with employee A, are you going to go talk to employee B about it? Because that's unacceptable as a leader. So, does your class reflect the class of a leader? Your posture, not your physical posture, how you sit in the chair. Your posture as far as when you walk in a room. Do you walk in the room and conform to the room, or you walk in the room and bring a new tone? And it's not an intimidating tone. It doesn't necessarily have to be that. But do you walk in the room and bring a tone of confidence? Do you walk in the room and bring a tone of peace? Do you walk in the room and bring a tone of poise? Do you walk in the room and bring up a tone of independence, but interdependence in a business or in a business sense? Because this is talking about getting a promotion. So in a business sense, are you willing to be independent and do your work on your own while being interdependent when making proper business decisions for the company? As a leader, can you do that? Does your communication level or style reflect the style of the leader that you like to represent yourself as? Same as that image example. Representation of who you are kind of coincides with intentionality. So in that, how do you plan to represent yourself? Okay, perfect. What are you going to do to be intentional and make room for it? And what are you going to do about that to be intentional and make room for it? Even when you're upset, emotional, or disappointed. And speaking from experience, on one of my coaching sites, they ask, what makes you a good coach? And my answer was, what makes me a good coach is the fact that I was put in leadership positions before I even knew how to be a leader. And I learned the hard way. So in learning the hard way, but still sticking to what I felt was called to me in my life, that's what made me a good leader. That's what made me a good person for this, because I sacrificed for it, even though it didn't always look and feel good. So in that, And there were times I was emotional and disappointed and upset with my teams, and especially in hospitality management. But I had to still operate in a certain way. I was, 21 years old, leading a team of women who were between the ages of 25 and 40. So or if not older. So because of that, I had to be intentional about my approach, okay? Because they looked at me like I was a little girl as it was. So in that, are you disciplined enough to know when to speak and how to speak and when to listen and how to listen as a high quality leader, especially if you want a promotion, right? Just saying. So being intentional is a process. Being intentional is a choice. Some days you wake up and you realize I am not intentional. Just last week, I realized, like, okay, I'm on this fitness journey. Last year compared to this year, I've made some good waves, but I want to make some stronger waves. What can I do? I realized when I was actually working a corporate job, when I was in corporate America, I was more disciplined with my eating habits. I was more disciplined with my working out habits, and I had to recalibrate back to the basics. At first, I was on a liquid diet until 12 o'clock, and I eat between 12 and 8, and I drink a abundance of water in a day, and I do my workouts, and in that, I saw rapid results. I no longer see those rapid results because I don't get me wrong, I definitely still watch what I eat. I still watch how much I eat. I even still work out, but the results aren't as rapid because I wasn't as intentional. So in that, being intentional about what you want, making the changes, recalibrating and moving forward, there's nothing wrong with that. That's what shapes us. That's what makes us great in our character. And it actually creates a safe environment for us and the people around us, because it lets them know, you know what, I'm not perfect. You know what, I had a pitfall, and in my pitfall I learned, and it actually set the tone for everybody to kind of be vulnerable. It set the tone for everybody to self-reflect. It sets the tone for everybody to be intentional, make room for the things they want. It sets the tone for exposing that we all are human. Because bottom line, whether it's relationships, whether it's influence, whether it's expanding our family or even our finances, our fitness journeys, whatever it is, we all are human. We all are going to have pitfalls. It's just the pillars in life that our pitfalls lie is where the differences are. We're all still human. So in that, I want to give you guys a few steps that you can use to actually embrace intentionality in your journey. Again, it's not easy. So reference this video if you have to. Listen to it once, listen to it twice, get it in your spirit, share it with a friend, do a watch party, do what you need to do for yourself to make sure you retain the information properly. Just like I'm going to do what I need to do to kill that fly that just flew by again. Okay. Step 1. Being intentional about who you want and who you are and what you want out of life is step 1. Be honest with yourself. If you want a relationship, that's utterly fine. If you want that promotion, that's fine. If you want to start that family, no matter how old or young you are, that's fine. Be intentional, make a plan, and execute it. Step 2. After that, you must get intentional about making room for it. Make the plan and execute it. Step 3. This is important. Step 3 is actually educating yourself about which feelings, hardships, trials, headaches, heartaches, disappointments, victories, lessons, battles, and wars come with the thing you're preparing for, so that you could prepare for that as well. And in that, That's what builds your foundation. That's what gives you a solid foundation, regardless of what you want. Because I know relationships are hard. So I know for sure when the time comes for me to have to compromise, I'm going to compromise because I don't want problems. I want my relationship, especially if I feel like it's the one for me. If I want that promotion, and I know for sure I'm going to have hard days where I have to outwork my bosses just to show them I'm worth it. I'm willing to do that. So I'm going to mentally prepare for that. So when the day comes, I can pat myself on the back, go home, cook a good dinner, and say, I did it. Okay? So that's step 3. Step 4 is crucial. And step 4 would also bring insight to the folks who are on the opposite end of this. Step 4, isolating yourself from the old while preparing for the new. Let's say you've been given the very thing that you hoped and prayed for. In that case, who would that require you to be, or what would that thing require, or who would that thing give you the confidence to be? So let's say you wanted that promotion and you got the promotion, and now your confidence has grown and evolved and you're just that person, you know? How about you start that now? How about you start that now? In the event you get that promotion, you won't have as much time to linger with your family, linger with your friends. You won't have as much time to watch TV at night. I know I'm a TV person, so you won't have as much TV time. So in that, if this is what you want, become that person now. Do it now, so when the time comes, you know they'll be quick to say, oh, you did this, got this, and you changed. No, I was changing into that anyway. You were just blind to it, and it took for me to get this for you to realize that I was changing the whole time. Okay? Step 5, last and final step. Step 5 is to intentionally step into who you've become. You've done the research. You know who you are. You know what you want. You know your pitfalls and your shortcomings. Because in intentionality, you know that as well. I know I struggle with snoozing that alarm and rolling up out of that bed in the morning. I know that's an area of opportunity for me. So what am I going to do? Set the alarm at 6:30 instead of 7 so that I have 30 minutes to play with it, so that by 7 I know I need to roll up out of that thing. Okay? Walk into it. Step into it. It's time for it. And we deserve it. We deserve it. Our family deserve it. Our lineages definitely deserve it. Everybody says they want to break the generational curses. They want to create generational wealth and do all of this. Are you the person that's deserving of being the person to create the generational wealth? Or are you being part of the problem? Intentionality is actually the process of identifying who you are, what you want, what your pitfalls are, making plans for either preparing, researching, understanding, or recalibrating those pillars, and planning and executing a way to transform into what you want. That's intentionality. So I hope this brought insight and clarity to you guys. If not, I hope it brought at least reassurance to the ones who felt like something that I said in this video resonated with them. I hope that I gave you the reassurance that you needed, because again, I am your virtual support system. And when transitioning into either a new level of understanding or a new process or journey in our lives, the people around us just may not fully understand where we are. So it's up to us to be open and honest about certain things, and to create environments and dynamics where we can have open dialogues about those conversations. So that is it. I love you guys. I'm Cornesha. I'm your purpose and personal development coach. I know for sure I've planned an abundance of business content. I've been posting mostly business content, so I'm gonna play catch up a little bit on the personal development topics. I have plenty more in store for you guys. if you have questions or concerns, know that you can find me on Facebook or Instagram at Cornesha Jones, and you can also DM me on either Facebook or Instagram with either one of your with any question, and I'll try to make a video about it. Also, with those questions, if it's something that you don't want a video made about, please go on mymentor.life and you can hire me as for a one-on-one coaching session. That way you can have just a free space to discuss whatever it is. I'll walk you through your options so that you have enough knowledge, tools, and resources to make the proper decisions in your life. So I love you guys so much. I'm here for you guys. I do this for us. And until next time, I will see you guys later. Good night.